family!
Hi!
Welcome back to Sunday School at Home. For our second episode of our Comfy Couch series, we're going to continue with our Psalm 23 chapter. We're going to read a story and do a little craft, and we are so glad that you are here joining us today. We're again going to do a repeat after me so we can work on our Psalm 23, 6 verses. Ezra, do you want to open up our Bible to Psalm 23? And we will get started. Why don't you guys repeat after me? The Lord is my shepherd.
The Lord is my shepherd.
I have what I need.
I have what I need.
He lets me lie down in green
He
pastures.
lets me lie down in green pastures.
He leads me beside quiet waters.
He leads me beside quiet water.
He renews my life.
He renews my life.
He leads me along the right paths for His name's sake.
He leads me along the right path for His name's sake.
Even when I go through the darkest valley,
Even when I go through the darkest valley,
I fear no danger, for you are with me.
I fear no danger, for you are with me.
Your rod and staff, they comfort me.
Your rod and staff, they comfort me.
You prepare a table before me
You prepare a table before me
in the presence of my enemies.
in the presence of my enemies.
You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows.
You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows.
Only goodness and faithful love
Only goodness and faithful love
will pursue me all the days of my life,
will pursue me all the days of my life.
and I will dwell in the house of the Lord as long as I live.
And I dwell in the house of the Lord as long as I live.
Great job, everyone. Why don't you come and grab a seat on our couch and come and listen to the story as we do it together. All right, let's open our Jesus Storybook Bible. Atticus picked our story for today. Atticus, what is this story called?
God makes a way.
God makes a way. And it looks like, says Moses in the Red Sea from Exodus 14 and 15. And if we flip back, we can see that this is when God's special people were leaving from Egypt. Remember, there was Joseph, who had that fancy coat. Then he gets imprisoned in Egypt, but then he gets a special position in Egypt. And so has a good special place. But then a long time goes by and the Israelites, who were Joseph's family, become imprisoned, right? They're slaves in Egypt, and God talks to who to lead them away? Moses. God tells Moses, I'm going to help you get your people out of Egypt. So they've escaped, but now, what does it look like is happening here? Pharaoh, who's kind of like the king of Egypt, is coming after them. He doesn't want them to leave. All right, so it says, Moses and God's people escaped out of Egypt and into the wilderness. They did not know the way, but God knew the way, and He would show them. I will bring you to a new home, a special land, God promised them. I will look after you. I am with you. God sent a big cloud for them to follow, a pillar of smoke stretching up to the sky. It moved in front of them as they walked and shaded them from the blazing heat of the day. And when it was time to rest, it stopped. All through the cold desert nights, it kept them warm, glowing like fire. God led His people through the desert to the edge of a great sea. They were just wondering how to cross it when suddenly they heard a terrible thundering and pounding. It sounded almost like horses' hooves. They shaded their eyes to look back, and screamed. It was! Pharaoh and his army were coming to get them. Pharaoh had changed his mind again. "Get my slaves back," he screeched, and charged out into the desert after them with 600 of his fastest horsemen and every single chariot in Egypt. How many chariots do you think they had in Egypt?
Millions.
Millions? How many?
Trillions.
Trillions.
Gazillions.
Gazillions. Oh
Millions.
my goodness, that's a lot of chariots. Doesn't look like that many in this picture. What were God's people going to do? In front of them was a big sea. It was so big there was no way around it. But there was no way through it. It was too deep. They didn't have any boats, so they couldn't sail across, and they couldn't swim across because it was too far and they would drown. And they couldn't turn back because Pharaoh was chasing them. They could see the flashing swords now glinting in the baking sun and the dust clouds, and chariot after scary chariot surging towards them. So they did the only thing there was left to do. What was it?
Being over.
Being over?
No. I don't know.
What do you think they did? What would you do if
Panic!
that was you? Panic! All they did was panic. "Oh no, we're going to die," they shrieked. "Don't be afraid," Moses said. "But there's nothing we can do," they screamed. "God knows you can't do anything," Moses said. "God will do it for you. Trust him and watch." "But there's no way out," they cried. "God will make a way," Moses said. Another minute and it would have been over. But then the strangest thing happened. A helicopter flew down and took them over. That's not what happened? A helicopter? Oh, a cruise ship cruises up and says, "Come on, guys." What happens? It's even crazier.
Yes.
Do you know what it is?
The sea goes away and they walk right through.
The sea goes away. Let's turn our book so we can see this. What? God made the pillar of smoke move. It moved behind his people and hid them from the Egyptians. Then God sent a strong east wind to blow all night long. It blew on the water of the big sea. It blew it to the left and it blew it to the right until it blew it into two towering walls of water. And there, right through the middle of the sea, a muddy pathway opened up. And God's people walked across on dry land. Look at that. Yeah, that's even crazier, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Then a helicopter taking over a cruise ship.
When the Egyptians tried to follow, the walls of water crashed back down on them and swallowed them up. God's people were safe. They danced and laughed and sang and thanked God. When there had been no way, oh, that's sad. When there had been no way. From the beginning, God's children had been running from him and hiding. God knew his children could never be happy without him. But they couldn't get back to him by themselves. They were lost. They didn't know the way back. But God knew the way, and one day he would show them. What's that talking about? God knew the way, and one day he would show them.
He knew that they couldn't be happy without us.
The Israelites couldn't be happy without you?
No!
What do you mean?
God and us wouldn't be happy without each other.
Oh, without each other? How about the Israelites? It says they couldn't get back by themselves. Where were they supposed to go? They're lost.
They were supposed to get back to God, but they couldn't because of sin.
Because of sin. Sin makes us lost. But what is it that shows us the way?
Jesus.
Jesus does. That's right. Let's have a look at the beginning of our story. Ezra, can you hold this? And we're going to do our drawing. So what is the title of today? Our story for today is called
God Makes a Way.
God Makes a Way. Atticus, spell me God, please.
G-O-D.
G-O-D. Friends, I hope that you guys have your paper and a marker or a pencil, and you guys can follow along and add in your own things that help remind you of today's story. So God makes M-A-K-E-S. And then which is just A, space, way. W-A-Y. God makes a way. And so he makes a way in this story. How does he also make a way for us?
I don't know.
Like we talked about at the end.
I don't know.
They needed God to make a way for them to get across, right? To get across the sea. God makes a way for us by giving us Jesus, just like we talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we going to draw on our page here to remind us that God makes a way? Not only did he do it in our story for the Israelites.
No way to get through the sea and then it
But
opens up.
No. Could you listen to Mommy? So God makes a way for the Israelites by opening the sea. And God makes a way for us to be brought back together with him through Jesus. So let's draw a picture of the towering water. So it's kind of swirled in like this. And we'll have one piece like this. And woo, see, like this. So you guys can just make these tall swirls on your page. And then I'm going to draw a pathway through. Right, there's the way to go through the water. A path. And we can put some little dots to make it look kind of like bottom of the ocean. Probably a couple of rocks down there. Maybe a little starfish stuck on the bottom.
Or maybe some coral.
Maybe some coral. I could do a little coral on the side. So this was the way God made for the Israelites. What is the way God makes for us? Jesus, who died on the cross. So we're going to draw a cross just like this. Friends, you can draw a stick cross, which is just two lines connecting, or you can make one kind of like this one, sort of a block shape. And our cross, that's our reminder that God makes a way for us through Jesus. What was it Jesus did so that we could go back together with God?
Died on the cross for us.
Died on the cross for us. And what did his death do?
Take away sin.
Yeah, it defeats our sin. So that when we come to him and apologize and say, I'm sorry, I've sinned against you, will you forgive me? And his cross, his death on the cross, takes away our sins. And that's why we can be forgiven and come back together with God. Now, what else reminds us of this story?
I don't know.
Well, who were the people? Who were the parts at the beginning?
The Israelites.
The Israelites. So there's a lot of Israelites. I'm going to just draw sort of some heads with shoulders here, like we're seeing them from behind. And what was it at the beginning that God sent them to show them the way? Because they didn't know how to go through the desert.
Jesus.
No, in our
God.
story, remember
The big misty cloud.
the misty cloud. It was a cloud, right? It was a pillar of cloud, kind of like this. I wonder if it swirled around. Draw the ground down here. And then at night, what was it like at night?
Glowing.
It was glowing like a pillar of
Ooh.
fire.
Fire.
So I'm going to do a fire pillar over here.
I hope it isn't very dangerous.
Yeah, I wonder if it, well, it did say it kept them warm. It would have got cold in the desert at night. I'm going to put some faces. These need, oh boy, now they look like aliens, but that's okay. The Israelites are, well, they're happy because they're getting out of Egypt, I suppose, although they were kind of grumpy. What else from our story? What is going to help remind us that God makes a way? What were they escaping from?
Egypt.
Egypt. And what makes us think of Egypt? What makes you guys think of Egypt?
I don't know. A desert?
A desert, yeah. What else? What could Mommy actually draw?
I don't know.
Do you know what this is? Do you know what that shape is?
Kite.
Sort of like a kite.
Pyramid.
A pyramid. Egypt is where the pyramids are. I'll draw 2 pyramids. Maybe that'll make it easier to think that it looks like a pyramid if there's 2 of them. So they were Israelites escaping from the Egyptians, and in Egypt they're very famous for their pyramids. God led them with a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire, and he had to make a way for them by making this path through the water, doing something impossible. And that reminds us that God makes a way for us through, I'm going to circle this because it's the most important part, through his son Jesus, who died on the cross for us. What do you think of this story?
Good one.
Pretty good? Pretty good story? I'd say it's pretty good. It's also a little bit crazy. I've never seen a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire.
I've never seen those too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a pillar.
You've never even seen a pillar. There's pillars at Nana's house. You've seen pillars.
Oh.
You know, those big things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting story. It's pretty amazing the way that God makes a way for them to get away from the Egyptians. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. I hope you had a good time hanging out with us here on our comfy couch. We will be so glad to see you again next week.
Bye!